Hello, dear one. I want to address today that feeling that I think many of us are walking around with, that we do not feel that we're fitting in anywhere. And I certainly can relate to that more and more and more. It's been a process for years, actually. And I know in the beginning, when we start feeling that, there's a tendency to try and fit in or change ourselves or think there's something wrong with us. And then we do whatever we do to see if we can start fitting in again. And it's kind of a little weird, right? When suddenly the things that used to interest you or the people that you enjoyed listening to, even, maybe a spiritual teacher or some guru where you just got so much benefit and so many gifts and inspiration from. It's like, I don't know. And it could be your friends, your family, the things you would read up on, maybe what's going on in the world and trying to figure out what the hmm is going on here. And you would read and listen. And of course, everything I always share here is basically my own experience, my own process or movement through life. And I'm just sharing what I'm noticing. And then you can see if there is a resonance with that. And if possible, I would like to help you find some kind of a peace or okayness in it, or that there's something normalizing about it so you don't think you're just walking around all on your own, just not fitting in anymore. And why am I here? And I certainly had that for a long time, but over time it has changed a lot. And in the beginning, there was literally like, what's wrong with me? Or, that I'm trying to, make myself do things that are not right anymore. And eventually it just started falling away because the more I just honored my own direct experience, moment to moment to moment. And this was, of course, a learning process that we all go through. It's not like, here you are today and tomorrow you're over here. It doesn't work that way. It may happen in the near future as the energies are coming in stronger and stronger, where, breaking apart the old paradigm. But at this point, in my experience, there is still some kind of a need to just take it moment by moment and embody it as it presents itself and as it is made available for us. So over time, we talk about this timeline, right? I've talked about timelines before. So in this timeline, this linear 3D timeline that we're in, there's progress and there's, two steps back and then forward and then maybe three back. So it's a process where we learn and practice to really be ourselves. And as you know, self-love to me is a very, very important part of that in my life and in my coaching practice, to learn that. Because when we do that, when we learn to allow whatever it is that we're feeling to just be there, then it can start softening. Many times what we feel is a contraction that we may never have been aware of, not consciously like we can be today. It may just have been something in the background and we're just trying to avoid it because it was uncomfortable. But as we become more conscious, now we can just like, wow, there really is something here. Let me find out what is that. And that's when we start the self-inquiry. We start feeling into what's going on in the body, and we learn to really meet it with a curiosity so we can learn from it instead of contracting and trying to get rid of that. And that is the process. As the more we do that, this contraction that we have been identifying with maybe for lifetimes, it just starts softening. And in the softening, you can become more aware of what is underneath that contraction, or what was in that contraction, or what is here when I'm not contracting. So you become aware of a whole different experience and expression of yourself and of others and of the world. And in that, your true essence can start expanding and expanding. And so it's very natural that this contraction we have been identifying with, that has been interacting with all the other contractions that we all have been walking around with, right? It's like we've been literally on what is it? It's like play. It's like we've been in a theater and we've all been playing these roles, contraction roles, pretending we were those roles. And as they start softening, because I mean, let's face it, it's been too painful. It's been crazy. It's not been fulfilling to live like that. And that's why we've been doing a lot of this deeper work, where we start connecting more with who we and what we truly are. So as this contraction softens and this comes out more, you will notice that all of this is so different and maybe even opposite of what you are beginning to experience as your true reality, your true being, your true expression. And it's very hard, I would say it's very hard to be interested in contraction when you are expanding and you start seeing the world, everybody in the world is living in this contracted reality as a separate sense of self, separate from the whole. And they're all having these dramas and traumas and issues, just like you and I have been having. Must have been part of this non or this dualistic life. But there's very little interest in engaging with it other than maybe supporting them in softening their contraction. Eventually, that might also go away. You know, we have identified with many, many roles in our lives. In the early days, it might be, to be successful and make money and whatever. And then we realize, well, that's not very fulfilling anymore. And then we start, maybe become a teacher of some kind, maybe teaching yoga, or become a coach or a teacher or whatever it is. And then that feels much more fulfilling because now we are connecting more with the real in ourselves and in others. So that feels like, oh yeah, this feels much more true to me. And and we also might start identifying with that role. So they're all roles. And I'm not saying that I'm without a role because I'm sitting here in my YouTube channel role. But this is probably also going to fall away. The role as a healer, teacher, whatever, spiritual, whatever, guru. Um, because as we expand, we can't really hold on to these contractions, which could be a role. So we have more and more, or less and less interest in that, and feel more and more that we just don't really fit in or belong here. And that can be challenging. I've certainly gone through that myself. And as I just keep staying with my process, because it's been a learning to just stay with my process of expanding and letting go and surrendering. And I actually feel quite comfortable not fitting in, almost too comfortable. But it's very beautiful because I don't have all that old stuff where I'm so concerned what other people will think about me if I'm different or if I speak my truth. That has been softening because that's been the contraction, right? Fear, remember, fear is how the matrix, the dualistic way of living, that's fear is what's been holding us in that role. So as that softens, and I have talked a lot about fear for quite a while, as we literally break up with fear or feel like, I'm done with this. It doesn't interest me anymore, then we can expand even more, and even more. And in that process, you will most likely feel that you're not fitting in anywhere anymore. So maybe this is the real transition where we shift timelines, where we move into a new reality, not out there, but from the inside out, where our true reality becomes more one with everything. And then we actually start feeling connected and fitting in with everything, not the contractions as an identity, but more like a resting in and as who we truly are. For me, lately, it's been actually quite potent. It's felt like there's been a wrapper, like candy, it's got its wrapper around it. And then you can read on the wrapper what kind of candy that is. So it feels like that's just coming off. So now I'm just more and more me, a candy without a wrapper. So it's very liberating. And I keep really inviting everybody to take this on as a practice to liberate yourself. And what is the practice? The practice is to be fully willing and learn to be present with your present moment experience. That the contraction, the feeling that you're not good enough, that you can't do it, that nobody loves you, all that stuff. That's all the very yucky wrapper that we're having around us, pretending or believing that this is who we are. So we need to be present with that wrapper, not identifying with it, but just breathing into it. And that might even be that what I've talked about. It's like, no, I'm not interested anymore. So then we might be able to breathe it out. We feel it, we allow it, we're not bypassing it, but we're very clear that, this not interested anymore. And in that, we can just breathe it out. Just imagine breathing out some smoke or something that's been sitting in there, needing oxygen. Just breathe it out. Let yourself expand. I think it's very important to be around people who are having similar experiences like you, so it can become more normal. There is definitely a phase for that too, and then we can stabilize more in it instead of believing there's something wrong with me or whatever. It's like, oh, you have that too. Oh, phew, that's a nice relief. So you hang out a little more and you can share more with each other what the experience is. And that helps the other to ground and embody their own one too. It's such a beautiful process we are going through right now. And the more we can really embrace it for what it is and notice that all the crazy stuff out there that's falling apart. It's the wrapper. It's the candy wrapper that is coming off. And most people are only seeing the wrapper coming off as a big disaster, but not really noticing the candy, the light, the beingness that is in there. And it is time for the wrapper to come off so we can fully be ourselves and fully shine the light that we are and help that light let all the other wrappers come off too, because we're not going to change with the wrapper on. The wrapper has its own frequency, its own density, And this density cannot join in expansion, right? Because they're two different things. So it's allowing that light that we are, that frequency that we are without the wrapper, to just shine and touch other wrappers. And then, be there in the best way you can to help their wrappers soften also. Very beautiful process. I highly recommend it. If you need help, actually, tomorrow I have my monthly online gathering called Feel Your Deepest Longing, Find Your Spiritual Calling, where a lot of time we do bring up, this part that is keeping us in the density instead of coming into our deep, deep longing in our heart and start letting that shine out. And so that's tomorrow. The link is in the description if you want to join last minute. And if you need help with this kind of work, which I think we all do, reach out for a self-discovery session. And then we can see if this is the right time for you to really dive deep in with somebody else. I'll be holding your hand, moving through this so you can start embodying it inside from the inside out. Please comment, please like, share. It helps my channel. I'm still a very small channel. It helps if you like and comment and share with your friends if they are resonating with this message or many of my messages. And it's always lovely, of course, to hear from you if you feel moved to comment below. All right, wishing you a beautiful day.